Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Everyone at our bar or lounge hangout area, I'd invite you to please come to the front, join us. I promise we won't bite. And who's we? We are Portrait Media Group, and thank you so much for joining us. My name is Danny Wright. I am the Chief Event Officer for Portrait. And boy, do we have an amazing show for you this week. I'm really glad you registered and came. We've got content here today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, plus a lot of really cool activity, which I'm going to get into. But the first thing I want to address is you may or may not have noticed, a little press release went out today. Portrait Media is in partnership with LG TV, and it's all about the channel that we have. Thank you. One round of applause. Appreciate that. And we have a fast VOD channel with LG, and our whole slate of 3,000 hours of content is part of the release, and we have one very, very special guest here later today who will talk about that partnership a little further. First of all, a sincere thank you to all of you. None of this is possible without all of you, pun intended. None of it is possible without the team that works really hard to put this together a Portrait. I'd like to call them by name: Bilal, Phil, Lizzie, Lauren, our executive staff, Jeff and Ben, and our illustrious sales team, Toy, Amari, and Aaliyah, who are all here today. They also deserve a round of applause. And if you see anyone, if you recognize us, come up to us. We can do anything for you, answer any questions. Finally, a sincere thank you to our partners. These are the folks that really help perpetuate and propel the ecosystem at large, and we are nothing without them. And I will call them out: Swayable, who have the bags you may have noticed, and they can be personally embroidered back there. We have OpenArt. We're about to hear from someone from OpenArt just a little bit, and they've got a demo station that is right behind you. CMO Exchange, their founder, Narissa Sardi, she's here, and she's doing meetings with some of the executive marketing staff that are here in attendance and also here at Possible. We've got our party people, OpenX, Human, and Tricoast. We'll hear from them on Wednesday, and they are the presenters of tonight's party, which is Possible After Dark, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. So make sure you take a little nap when we don't have programming. Come back when we do, and you'll be fresh for tonight. We've got Ad Square. They are doing our happy hour on Tuesday, 5 to 6. And, of course, we have the Trade Desk, Mark Allen, Mod Op, Fluent, and Verve, who have 2 sessions with us, one today and one tomorrow. And once again, a very sincere thank you to all of our partners. And now I will ask you for a round of applause for the folks that make this happen. Without further ado, before I bring our illustrious co-founder and chief strategy officer on stage for the first session, I'd like you to watch a very brief video. Please cue the clip.
Only a small group of humans have truly understood how to unlock the power of artificial intelligence by using it in the most unexpected and imaginative ways. I'm on a journey to meet them all. My name is Bonin Bough, and throughout my career, I have lived at the edge of creativity in change. In fact, creativity is in my blood. My father was a photographer in New York City, and I grew up watching him literally bend reality, creating new techniques to make images that people said were impossible. Today, technology is moving faster than ever before. When I look at my son Bastian, I don't wonder what he'll create or even what languages he will speak. What I wonder is what tools he will have at his disposal and how far his imagination will carry him. So now I'm meeting with the people who are shaping the future of creativity. The builders, the technologists, the innovators. These are the people who understand that AI won't replace humanity. Instead, it will unlock what the human mind is capable of. Because every future begins as an idea, and ideas shape what is truly possible. Wow, it looks even better on video. What's up, Portrait? How are you? Are you good? Are you good? All right. I'm look who's in the audience. I'm very excited for this one. And I'll give just a little bit of background real quick. That about 4 months ago, I decided that I was going to jump in and try to create anything within 3 hours. And so I won't give it away, but chairs, something you can purchase, video, da-da-da-da. And when you begin to see just the unlocking power of, I feel bionic. I've never felt more smarter in my life, even though that's not real English. And one of those players that are driving kind of the revolution, especially on creative, is OpenArt. And so let's bring Raj up to the stage real quick, and then let's give a huge round of applause. And then I'll do a little bit more dialogue, but why don't you just introduce yourself real quick?
Hi, everybody. I'm Raj Gajwani. I'm Chief Business Officer of OpenArt AI. OpenArt is a platform for making AI image and video. So we're a creative tool used by brands, agencies, and really a lot of different folks to make the kind of stuff that Bonin showed you, as well as some more stuff we're going to show you later today.
Great. So just really quickly, tell us about your journey, because you've been in the tech space before, but what brought you to the company? Because I think it's an interesting personal story.
Yeah. So I've been in ads for a long time. I've been to all of these for a long time on the media side. So I actually started at Ad Advisor, worked through Adify, Targus Info, Cox, and then I was with Google for about a decade helping build DoubleClick. So on the DoubleClick side, we worked a lot with creative and with data and media, helping build this industry into some of its programmatic future and some of the more interesting activations. I also started a company inside of Google, and while I was there, I met some remarkable people who had started a business inside of Google's startup incubator. They left, I put some money with them, I became an advisor, I became a board member. That company was OpenArt, and over the last 3 years as I've watched them grow, to be honest, I grew increasingly jealous, and I kept asking, is there a way I can help? So I joined in January, because OpenArt has turned into one of the fastest growing and leading creative platforms. Excuse me. We have, I think, approaching 100 million of revenue and giant valuation to go and bring this to life. And here's what's exciting. None of this stuff existed like 3 years ago. 2 years ago, it was a joke. You've all seen the Will Smith spaghetti eating thing. A year ago, it started getting passable. Today, people like Bonin have bionic superpowers. And the really important thing is what it's going to be like in a year. We're really excited to help put these tools in the hands of creatives, because the things you can make are incredible, and we're so excited to partner with you as you do that.
And I'm on a mission, by the way, right now. And I had an experience over Friday and Saturday, some of the largest creatives in the world, and no conversation about these tools. Really? And it blew me away. And so when we first met, I talked about, I believe that that's the importance, and those are the people that are going to truly bring this revolution to life. And I said, right now you're seeing a lot of people just talk about a lot of the younger generation, which is great, but they're not necessarily they're not the craftsmanship yet. Now they're becoming craftsmen on this. And you jokingly said to me, just because you have a chisel doesn't mean you're Michelangelo. And I was like, there you go, bingo. And so that's the name of the panel. Just because you have a chisel doesn't mean you're Michelangelo. And so we might show it or might not, but I created something from the Uber, from leaving my house to landing here, and I was blown away by what I was able to accomplish. But you want
we should show that, yeah.
Okay, all right, show it. Let's play the next video. So the story here is, we were talking, and I said, Raj, you should let people take their family photos and show the backstory, the journey to that photo. And I did this little piece of a photo that my dad was a photographer, he created. Go ahead.
No one remembers exactly who suggested the photo. It was probably Martin. It's usually Martin. He had been there for 20 minutes already, adjusting the camera with the seriousness of a man who believed this might be the one thing he got exactly right. Even after 40 years of shooting, he wanted this one to be perfect. Monica arrived composed, as always. She had already lived through most of the day by then, and decided quietly not to let any of it show. Bonin came in last, or close to it, at an age where standing still feels like a performance, and being part of something like this feels more important than he'd ever admit out loud. Quavin didn't fully understand what was happening, only that everyone was together, which seemed reason enough to cooperate. There was some adjusting, a few small corrections no one acknowledged. Someone almost said something, then didn't. Martin set the timer, walked into frame, just slightly out of breath. They stood there, a family, more or less, exactly as they were. Click. Later, no one would talk about the photo much, but it would remain as quiet evidence that for one very specific second, they all showed up together.
What was crazy, so that was my dad's original photo, the last one I landed on. So I took that, and that was the only piece of reference art that I gave it. Everything else you're seeing is all me doing that on my phone, in the Uber and on the plane until I land. And even the script was written. I didn't even write the script. And then all I just did was tell it who was who, and literally the voice, the whole thing. And I just did that on my phone. And so I did it because I was so mad that they weren't talking about it. So I said, I'm going to just show just real quick, and I knew I would have a chance to do it.
What
Go
you're
ahead.
talking about is there's two things that jump to mind, right? First of all, from creative to execution was an Uber ride and a plane ride, right? The speed at which your ideas can come to life is incredible. The second is that for creatives, we all have a bazillion ideas. We're all a little bit ADHD. And every one of those ideas comes out and it's blocked by like tons of real world friction. We have a partner who's an Emmy-winning screenwriter. He's won awards, written for major TV shows. And he's like, I love OpenArt because now when I have a great idea, I can execute it in a day instead of waiting for a $5 million production budget, right? The ability to bring your ideas to life incredibly quickly is so important. And these are small personal stories. It's visual storytelling of Bonin's life. They're brand activations. They are ways to move the market. And the ability to say, I have 10 ideas. I want to see all of them. And I want to know what reacts, what works. That's incredibly powerful. It's changing the world.
So, I didn't even access, more than 5% of the capability. But, you guys really are focused on image, video, character, worlds, audio creation, all in one place. So, I guess you can see why it's important. But from your point of view, why is it important?
Yeah. So, let me tell you why OpenArt exists. Everyone here has heard of AI, right? So
I hope so. If not, welcome.
So I can go to ChatGPT and I can say, make me an image. I can go to Gemini and say, make me an image. I can go directly to Flux and say, make me a video. What happens is that everybody who starts doing this in a serious way says, I want all of them. I want to use all of these tools. Unlike with the chatbots, with the chatbot, I pick one and I spend my day working with that mostly. With creative tools, each of the different models is kind of like a filter or a plugin for Photoshop. And I want Photoshop. I want the panel where I can go and pull out the right model at the right time for the right purpose. OpenArt has over 100, all of the leading models in one place, one subscription. I don't need to go and spend $20 a month on 10 different places and export my assets. That's today. Today, this is just simply the fastest and easiest way to access the best of AI image and video. Tomorrow, it's all the tools we're building on top of it. Some of the stuff that Bonin was experimenting with, the agentic stuff, so you have a partner, a director in the machine that'll help you pull it all together and bring it together. So this is how pros are doing their work.
And it's also, I think what I found very fascinating was I knew I didn't have enough time, but I shot all the stuff from the back just to make it easy so I didn't have to deal with the faces. But now with character creation, world creation, just talk a little bit about.
Yeah, so let me acknowledge one thing. This shit doesn't still work, right?
You saw the hand and there was a lot of nuances that I could have fixed. But yeah.
Every single one of these things is still not perfect, right? But as leaders, as innovators, we get in early as we're trying to figure this stuff out. And it's in the last 6 months, the number of innovations that have begun to solve the problems with AI are amazing. One of the biggest ones, as Bonin mentioned, used to be character consistency. So I'd say, hey, I want a character who looks like this. The next time, the character looks a little different. The next time, the character looks a little different. We as an industry and at OpenArt have developed a lot of technology, so now it looks the same, right? So Bonin's virtual dad looks the same from shot to shot. We actually worked with one of the leading computer scientists in the space, Fei Li. You hear her name side by side with Demis and Dario and all of these other sort of AI scientists. She built a company called World Labs to build 3D worlds. OpenArt's the only place you can find that in an image suite, in a video suite, so now you can have consistent sets, right? When I move the camera, I want everything to look the same behind it. There are some tools that we've implemented that create motion capture. This blew my mind when I joined a few months ago. The big problem with AI faces and characters has been they look plastic, right? They're cartoony. I create the face and it doesn't look real. Two things have happened literally in the last like 4 to 6 months. One is we have skin enhancers, so now you create a realistic skin. And the second one, including skin of all different ethnicities, which is important. The second one is what they call motion capture. And so now, with just my phone, I can take a video of myself and show my expressions, and my character makes my expressions. We've eliminated the uncanny valley. It's no longer an AI character with AI expressions. It's an AI character with your expressions and your motion. So the number of tools that are coming together to make this more and more real, truly phenomenal.
And it's interesting you talk about skin, because I was working with another tool, and I was just trying to do clips. This is for something different, and I said, well, that's not the tone. Like, go back and look at the tone. Right. And match the tone, and it gave me that's an error message. You want the lighting different? I'm like, no, I want the skin tone to be exactly the same as it was. But I didn't have that challenge with you. I mean, look, some things didn't fully map. Like you see my hands go to the tie. The tie became
it's not quite right.
It was not quite there. But again, I could have spent more time and gotten it right. But it was interesting, I thought, and I left it because of the it looked like a much older hand. Yeah. But I just found it fascinating how the depth of it was, and so I thought, anyway.
Well, let me just give you the straight talk, right? You're not going to create a major TV commercial with this today, right? No. There have been a few.
We have one that I can show, but go ahead.
So you can do it with a lot of labor, right? There's work involved, but these are the tools. Like you couldn't do your job if you can't use Illustrator and Premiere Pro.
Right.
Tomorrow you won't be able to do your jobs unless you can use OpenArt and a tool like this. Today, the vast majority of use cases are for ideation and mock-ups and storyboards, right? I want to bring an idea to life and test it. And then, in some cases, you do the work to go and fix all those little niggles, right? And you can deploy it. Often you go back to your traditional workflow and deploy, after the client sees 5 different versions, you say, this is the one I want, and you go build that properly. So we're at a place where the technology is just at that tipping point. All of those issues, we're working on them. They're getting fixed, and in about a year, I think that you will be able to deploy something major that you built in the cab ride.
I mean, for me, talk a little bit about that, like upscaling and how important kind of that component is, because when you're watching it here, we didn't see it, but if you're watching it on TV, I did real low resolution. I was also trying to do it on the phone, so I didn't want to take up.
Yeah, so I mean, not to get too geeky on you, but these tools use a lot of computer power, right? And so a lot of the models will take a long time to generate images, and as a result, the default is set kind of low. It might be at a 1080p or might be at a 480p in some cases. Because the use cases are professionalizing, we're working hard on upscaling the models, so you can take content and deploy it in production-ready formats. And some of the models are beginning to have native production-ready formats. So it's another example about how now is a pretty good time to get in, because we're beginning to solve these issues and figure it out. One of my favorite Silicon Valley phrases is that the future's already here, it's just not evenly distributed. So those of us who are learning this stuff have a little window into the future.
So, my big message is always, I'm not worried about AI taking your job, I'm worried about somebody who knows AI taking your job. But the reality is that, to your point, the future's not even here. Like the glimmer of the little scraps of the future laying, you're like, oh wait, because even now I can tell where the challenges are, and you can see the challenges, and things they don't really connect seamlessly together. I can't jump. There's so many pieces where I'm like, oh my God, this thing. Even you saw in the prompt I said green screen, so even though we were working in black and white, it threw green in there by myself. Now that's just a little piece, but just the connectivity isn't even there. So the full workflow is not fully developed yet. But once that comes, it's like, and I think the bigger thing in what, and I don't know what you want to show. We've got about 12 minutes. If you want to show,
I can
show your video
demo, some examples.
Okay. Let's cue which. Yeah.
So I can. Cue
Oh
this
wait,
up,
they
or
gotta
you can.
jump back because I cheated.
We'll give them a moment to.
So
cue
what
up
I was
some
going to say
examples.
is,
Yeah.
you know, one of the, as soon as this comes up, we'll let it play. But you know, the spot we did with Stan Smith,
Yep.
and that premiered at. There was only 2 big spots that happened last year. One was us, one was Coke, and that it was for PC Richards, and it
Right.
was during U.S. Open. PC Richards could never have afforded to do this spot at this
Right.
scale, at this level.
Right.
And from a time perspective, it was tiny. I mean, we did one physical shoot, which was
Yep.
one day, and then we did 3 spots off of that, all AI generated. And what was the only thing that was the issue
Yeah.
was the client knew we were generating it, so every little piece he knew he could change. Had it been hard shot, it would have been like, you got to deal with it. They're like, you know what? The mattress just needs to slow down when it falls into the window, and you're like, oh my God, we're there, dude. Like, stop.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. Go ahead.
Totally agree. Let me address before we play this the elephant in the room, right? I'm nervous about this. You guys are nervous about this. What does AI mean for our jobs? What does AI mean when the tools can do everything for you? And I have a lot of thoughts on that. But one thing that gives me a lot of comfort is like the entire history of our technological journey as a civilization. What happens to accountants when we have Microsoft Excel? There's more accountants today.
Right. They charge more.
Quick answer, right? What happens, when there's like Premiere Pro and Final Cut Pro, and I don't need an Avid machine? What happens to film production? There's a ton more film production. There's a ton more creativity. These are tools for humans. These are tools for creatives, and I have the belief and the evidence that in every area of human progress, the technology enables people to do more and better and faster. So what I'm excited about is where we use these tools. I think there's a ton of potential. Okay, so we jump in and show a little demo video here.
On OpenArt, a new journey is beginning.
Cada día, hoy la gracia se está viva.
Prepare yourself to explore new places.
Cada día, me nace nuevo
Unknown
de
worlds are
vida.
waiting for you.
Yo sabía que algún día
OpenArt Suite.
llegaría.
Now on OpenArt, it's your turn to create.
This scene is so boring, I want to slap somebody! We need to make this movie more exciting!
Wanna feel it. Feel it, rage, power. Rage, money, power. Big, 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 big.
Come on, guys. I mean, but you know, the thing that makes me the most excited is the skill that you're developing and just learning how, and we say prompt, and you know, I personally, at this stage, I've gotten to a place where I'm just yelling at it. I'm just telling it what I want. And I'm asking it, I'm like, look, you know what? Here's what I want the scene to look like. You go tell me how I should shape it. Come back, here's the full movie. Cut it up into the scenes you think. What should the shots be? Let me evaluate it. Give me the contact sheet. I need 6 different ones that look like this. And literally, that's what I'm doing with it. And it's coming back. And the pace, I'm boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, no, you can do it. Get it better. You know, and so I feel like that is the skill set and the muscle that, you know, people are learning. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it reminds me of one of my favorite stories from the dawn of television. You have to learn the capabilities of a new format to figure out how to use it best. And so one of these stories is that when they started recording TV shows, they were stage plays, right? So there's a still camera showing everything on stage. And then they would sometimes do cuts. And one of the fascinating examples of this is that when they would show, you know, a bad guy shooting a good guy, you have to show both of them in frame and have someone pull the gun and say bang and have the guy fall down. Because otherwise I don't have the visual idiom. I don't know what happened. Today, if you look at a TV show, someone's running, goes bang, bang, I see a guy on the ground, they're dead. I get it, right? And I can have fast cuts, I can move around. That's because we've learned the language of that tool, right? Visual storytelling has evolved based on the capabilities of these sort of intimate shots that are not at all like a stage play. What's happening now, as Bonin said, is we're expressing our creativity to the machine. The machine can do more and do better, and we're learning new forms of art. We're learning new ways to express stories. That's probably the thing I'm most excited about. And I'll say one last thing about it.
No, please.
A lot of the demos are built by programmers, and you can tell. The best demos that I see are built by storytellers. Where this is going is we're getting it out of the hands of Silicon Valley and into Madison Avenue and into creative suites and into Hollywood, where storytellers know their craft and can make art with it. That is hands down what I'm most excited about.
And, you know, it's funny because, well, two things to respond to that. Just, yes, I was going to say what one of the questions we discussed was what does, shoot, I got to remember. What role does taste play in it? But at the same time, it's interesting because there's other visual languages that are being created by non-craftsmen, which is, you know, right, informing kind of the future as well. And you know, when the series comes out, you'll see Henry Hargraves, who's been doing this for a long time, but was a skilled photographer for many, many years, videographer. He did all the DTC work when Warby Parker, all that stuff. He got books, big photographer. And so I sit with him, and you know, he's saying what lens to choose, exact pan, and all the craftsman stuff. And the work is phenomenal. He's some of the best work I've seen come out. He's got nothingboring.ai as his website. But at the same time, we're inspired by the stuff that's not being created by craftsmen, although I can't wait until more craftsmen are using it. But the other thing that was interesting for him was what you said, which was he said, it does things that I would have never thought of, and it's my creative thought partner. He's like, I'm so amazed that I have the power of this tool in my hand right now. And he's like, just think about your dad. If he had this when he was for 60 years, right, what he could have created. Right. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, absolutely. You know, one of the things I think that's always striking to me, culture is a dialogue. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. The art that you create, the work you create is part of a conversation between generations. You know, there's no Ella Fitzgerald without what came before her. There's no Beatles without the right, swing bands. There's no Blair Witch Project without Steven Spielberg. These forms of art are a conversation. And by the way, notboring.ai, was it?
Yeah, nothingboring.ai.
Nothingboring.ai, highly recommend it. This is a professional photographer building with AI.
Right.
The conversation today is just starting. We're referencing current art forms and creating with AI as mirrors of that, sometimes small extensions of that. It's going to get more powerful. You know, already we're beginning to have live and interactive, the ability for me to step into a story, step into a scene, to have the scene react to me, to have every viewer have a slightly different experience of it. That's a little, you know, woo-woo sci-fi, we'll get there. But I think it's important that the tastemakers are the ones who are driving the conversation. If you rely on people like me who talk about tools and programmers who talk about the databases and the compute, we're just copying stuff we saw. The tastemakers are the ones who are going to drive the conversation forward with these capabilities.
Yeah, and it's not, look, I don't look at it as woo-woo. Like, every technology moves humanity forward. So, you know, it's interesting because when so first of all, yeah, nothingboring.ai, but I recommend you watch it. You'll see the progression of the tools. And now he does a thing with the Nothing Boring Studio, which is a fake studio in Brooklyn. By the time you get there, you're like, and that's only like maybe 18 months, maybe, probably less. But when they first created AlphaGo is a movie. If you watch it, it's the early days of training Google, and it beats the European master, and then it's going to play the world champion. The European master's training it because he was crying because he got beat, and everybody's saying there's no way that the computer's going to win Go. There's no way he's going to beat the master. First game wipes him out, destroyed. Second game destroys him again, but it plays a God move, and the God move basically is it guaranteed that if no matter what happens, I'm going to win by one. Go is about territory, so humans play it, they want everything. The computer's like, a win is a win. Third game, wipes him out. Fourth game, he wins. You're like, yes, humanity. Fifth game, wipes him out. But what happened was the game of Go was forever changed because now humans are saying, oh, wait, let's just win by one. And so the whole strategy for a hundreds-of-year-old game, centuries-old game, is now changed. And that's what, to me, is interesting because it's basically a mirror. It's like steel-hardened steel. And that's, I think, what we're seeing from the tools in general.
I love that. And one thing I'll say is that people say, what happens when the machine is better than me?
Better than me?
My car is faster than me.
Right.
My email knows more about my communications. The internet knows more about the whole world than me. A forklift is stronger than me. Those all make me better, right? These are tools. We are Homo sapiens. Homo habilis was the original one. They're tool makers, right? We're thinkers and we're builders who use tools. These are the tools that make us stronger. That's why I'm excited about this. And I'll just throw in a quick plug on this, which is that the tools are becoming professionalized. So far, it's been a lot of individual experimenters. With the help of folks like Portrait, we're beginning to see where it can go when you put dedicated teams of highly talented people behind it. The tools are just beginning to scratch the surface.
Right. I mean, we're seeing examples of work that is really, but what it is it's teams to that point because at the scale, it's more than. But again, it's also, to your point, the storytelling is hugely important. But the ability to go from story to see if it works.
Yeah.
And to go back and edit and change. So look, I have one last question. If you could snap your fingers and get everybody in here to do one thing, what would it be?
You remember like 2 years ago when we were like, wow, the AI can make like a coherent paragraph. That's pretty cool. And today it plans my vacation and it goes and does my expense reports for me. I think that because this room, this audience are the people who are supposed to be finding and defining the future, what everyone ought to be doing is playing with it when we're making paragraphs in search of what the novel is, what the trip plan is that's coming. So I do have a thing that I came here with. We've been primarily a tool for individuals, right? Like a Photoshop or an Illustrator or a Canva or a Figma. OpenArt is just deploying, like next month, our enterprise tools, the plans that help teams use this more effectively. And so we're looking to partner with folks who want to go and help push that envelope. So if you're interested in trying this for your team, drop me a line, come talk to my colleagues. In the back, I think we have a little desk where we can show demos and such, because we're looking to work with the folks who want to take this in a really professional direction, and we'd love to talk with you about how you can go and try these tools when it's like at the ChatGPT 3.0 level.
I love it, and the demo is here. We can allow people to play with tools. I think 12 o'clock, and we have open opportunity to come to the space. I'll let Danny close up because we're going to pull on the next panel. He'll tell you what times are open and free to come. And then, and thank you, sir.
Thank you, Bonin.
It's been a pleasure.
Real
Thank
pleasure.
you to you and your teams, and congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.